You know that feeling when you find yourself reaching for your phone without even thinking about it? Well, turns out that's not some random accident. Today, we're going to pull back the curtain on the invisible strings that shape our digital lives. We're diving deep into the powerful science that apps like Instagram, Twitter, and Pinterest use to build habits, and yeah, to keep us cutting back for more. I mean, we've all been there, right? You pick up your phone just to check one thing, and then, poof, half an hour has just vanished. You've been sucked into the endless scroll. But what if I told you that getting lost like that isn't a bug? It's a feature. It's the result of some seriously clever design. You know, Nir Eyal, the author whose work we're digging into, he tells these crazy stories about this stuff. Like, he'd be out for an evening run and catch himself cheerfully telling a neighbor, "Good morning." Or he'd start shaving for a second time in one day. Why? Because his brain just went into autopilot mode. And that, right there, is the incredible power of habit. It's the stuff we do with almost zero conscious thought. So, how exactly do they do it? What's the secret sauce? Well, it all comes down to a framework called the hook model. Think of it as a four-step cycle that companies use to literally wire new habits into our brains. It gets us coming back, all on our own, without them having to spend a dime on flashy ads. This is their playbook. Okay, let's break down these four stages of the hook model. It's kind of like the secret operating system running in the background of your favorite apps. It's all designed to create what's called unprompted engagement, which is just a fancy way of saying you use the app because you want to, not because some notification buzzed in your pocket. So here are the four key ingredients. First, there's a trigger, which is what gets the whole thing started. Then comes the action, the simple thing you do. After that, the variable reward. That's the prize that keeps you guessing. And finally, an investment, which is where you put a little something in. By looping us through these steps over and over and over, these products build these really powerful connections in our brains, turning simple little clicks into totally subconscious habits. All right, let's zoom in on the first two steps to see how this whole cycle kicks off. See, every habit needs a spark to get it going. First step is the trigger, which sets things in motion. Then you need a super simple, easy action to take. It's really all about getting you to that starting line with as little friction as possible. So what exactly is a trigger? Well, it's the cue to act. You've got your external triggers. Those are the obvious ones, like the little red notification badge, an email ping, a push alert. But the real goal, the holy grail for any product, is to latch onto an internal trigger. Think about that feeling of loneliness that makes you pop open Facebook, or that twinge of boredom that has you scrolling through TikTok. That's what they're after. So after the trigger fires, you need the action. Now there's this great research from BJ Fogg at Stanford, and he says for any behavior to happen, you need three things: the motivation to do it, the ability to do it, and that trigger we just talked about. But for product designers, the single most important part of that equation is ability. They are obsessed with making the action as simple, as mindless as possible. Because think about it, the less effort something takes, the more likely we are to just do it. And this is just a perfect illustration of that whole idea. Just look at Twitter's homepage back in 2009. It's a total mess, right? It makes you work, makes you think about what you're supposed to do. Now fast forward to 2012, and it's radically simple. Sign in or sign up. They removed all the thinking, all that cognitive load, and made the action brain dead easy. And here's another brilliant example. Apple knew that those picture-perfect moments don't wait around. So what did they do? They put the camera right on the lock screen. No password needed, no hunting for the app icon, just swipe and shoot. They completely eliminated the steps, which dramatically increased the odds of you taking a photo. It's genius, really. Okay, now we're getting to the real heart of the model. This is the engine that drives the entire habit loop: variable rewards. And this is where things get super interesting, because this part is all about tapping into our deep psychology to create a craving that keeps us hooked. Ever wonder what makes a slot machine so ridiculously addictive? It's not actually the winning, it's the almost winning. Neuroscience tells us that our brain's pleasure center goes absolutely nuts, not when we get the reward, but in anticipation of it. It's the thrill of the hunt, the what if, that releases a little hit of dopamine and keeps us pulling that lever again and again. That's the incredible power of a variable reward. So it turns out there are three main flavors of these variable rewards. Eyal breaks them down for us. You've got rewards of the tribe, which is all about our social connections. Then you have rewards of the hunt, which is our drive to find new information. And finally, rewards of the self, which satisfies our need to feel capable and accomplished. So rewards of the tribe tap into our deep, fundamental need to feel accepted, to feel important.
On a site like Stack Overflow, programmers will spend hours answering questions, not for money, but for upvotes, reputation points, and little digital badges. These are powerful social rewards that signal status within their community.
Then you've got the rewards of the hunt. Now, this one taps into our ancient primal wiring to search for resources. The modern-day version of that? A social media feed. When you're scrolling through Pinterest or Twitter, you're on a digital hunt. You have absolutely no idea what you'll find next. A breathtaking photo, a hilarious video, or just more stuff. That unpredictability is exactly what keeps you swiping down.
And finally, there are the rewards of the self. These are all about feeding our need for personal achievement. We are just wired to love that feeling of mastery and getting things done. A classic example of this was the old Mailbox app. When you finally hit Inbox 0, it didn't just show you an empty screen. Nope, it gave you this beautiful, satisfying image. It was a little prize for conquering your email, making you feel competent and in control.
All right, we've arrived at the final, and maybe the most clever, phase of the hook model: investment. This is the part where the app asks you to do a little bit of work. It might not seem like a big deal at the time, but it's an absolutely crucial step that makes the product stickier and cleverly sets up your next trip through the hook. So this entire phase is built on a really simple psychological principle. We irrationally overvalue things that we've put our own labor into. Researchers actually call it the IKEA effect. You know how that bookshelf you struggled to build feels just a little more valuable to you than one that came pre-assembled? Well, the exact same thing happens with digital products. So how do we invest in an app? Well, every photo you upload to Instagram, every friend you add on Facebook, every song you add to a Spotify playlist, that's an investment. These actions store value in the product, making it better and more personalized for you over time, which makes it harder to leave. And here's the kicker. They also load the next trigger. A comment on your photo or a new friend request prompts a notification, and that starts the hook all over again. Reputation is a huge form of this stored value. Just think about eBay. A seller who has thousands of positive reviews has invested years into building that trust. If they wanted to switch to a new platform, they'd have to abandon all that value and start from scratch. This investment creates a powerful lock-in effect that keeps them right where they are. So, we've seen the blueprint for how to build habits, and it's incredibly powerful. Which brings us to a really, really important question. With this much influence over human behavior, what's the responsibility of the person designing these products? How can this tool be used for good? To tackle this, Eyal offers up a pretty simple ethical framework. He asks creators to just look at their product and ask themselves, are you a facilitator, making something you yourself would use that genuinely improves people's lives? Are you a peddler, just selling something you think people want? Or are you an entertainer, just providing a fun little distraction? And in his view, the most ethical and sustainable products are the ones that act as facilitators. And that really brings us to the big takeaway. Understanding the hook model isn't just for Silicon Valley product designers. It's like a superpower for the rest of us. Now you can actually see the architecture behind the apps you use every day. You can spot the triggers, the simple actions, the unpredictable rewards, and all those little investments you're making. So the final question isn't for me, it's for you. Which of your habits are actually your own, and which of them have been carefully, deliberately designed for you?